We're going to talk about retrospectives today. Retrospective is a practice that is common to almost every Agile methodology. In fact, even the simplest Agile methodology that I know about, Crystal Clear, has 3 practices which are sit together, deliver working software frequently, and have retrospectives to figure out how to optimize and improve your process. So if you think about the Agile Manifesto, it's not hard to understand why retrospective is a key practice in any environment like this. The Agile Manifesto tells us that we value people and interactions over processes and tools. So if you think about that, what it's saying is that the process is not the thing, that there is no one perfect process that's going to ensure your project's success. Rather, it's getting the specific individuals and the interactions right in your context, in your specific team, that's going to be a better determinant of project success. And that's where retrospectives come in. And the practice of retrospectives is simply to periodically have a meeting, sit together. We usually do it once per iteration, where you talk about how you're working, not what you're building, but how you're working together. Figure out what's working and what you're going to do more of. Figure out what's not working and discard that, and generate ideas for what you could try to tweak and improve your process for your project and your situation. That's a retrospective. So simple in practice, but super important. Every high-performing Agile team is going to come up with its own customized process that's evolved specifically for that situation and those individuals, and retrospectives is the key tool to do that. Now, even though this is such an important practice, it's one that's easy to let slip as time goes on in a project. I've seen 2 main problems with when this happens. One is that the team just gets bored, and they say, oh, we do the same thing every time, or we talk about the same thing every time. Or the other is they just deprioritize it. There's always something more important than taking 30 or 60 minutes for this iteration's retrospective. So the key to addressing both of those, there's 2 keys to addressing both of those problems. The first is having good facilitation for your retrospective. That means, unless you're going to go hire a professional facilitator, which is probably not the case usually, you need to get good at facilitating. It's not rocket science, but it's also not so obvious that you don't need some practice in it. The second is to mix it up, to experiment with a variety of different retrospective techniques and ways of holding your retrospective. That keeps it fresh and that keeps it from being boring. And there are a ton of resources out on the web and good books like Esther Derby and Diana Larson's book on Agile Retrospectives, which literally has chapter after chapter of different techniques you can try for running a retrospective in the context of an Agile software development team. So I highly recommend going and using some of those resources, because this is a very powerful practice. Some of my biggest insights and best things that I've thought up on a team have come in the context of doing a retrospective and talking about what might we try differently and what's going well and what should we discard that we're doing. So retrospective is very important practice. I'll leave you with a little bit of homework, which is to go and Google for the retrospective prime directive. Figure out what that is and figure out how you're going to use that in your next retrospective.